the day when the U.S. Air Force dropped an atomic bomb on Nagasaki, the advanced and reconnaissance units of 3 Soviet fronts received orders to begin the offensive. The Soviet aviation carried out massive strikes on Japanese military targets in Harbin, Xinjiang, and Jilin, targeting the areas of concentration of Japanese troops, communication hubs, and logistics of the enemy in the border zone. The Pacific Fleet cut off communications linking Korea and Manchuria with Japan, and struck Japanese naval bases in northern Korea, Uki, Razin, and Seizen. Troops of the Transbaikal Front, advancing from the territory of Mongolia and Doria, overcame the waterless steppes, the Gobi Desert, and the mountain ranges of the Greater Shingan, defeated the Kalgan, Solan, and Hylar groupings of the enemy, reached the approaches to the most important industrial and administrative centers of Manchuria, and cut off the Kwantung Army from Japanese forces in northern China. After capturing Xinchang and Fengtian, they advanced towards Dairen and Ryajin. The troops of the First Far Eastern Front, advancing towards the Transbaikal Front from Primorai, broke through the line of the enemy's border fortifications, repelled strong counterattacks from the Japanese forces in the Mudanjiang area, and occupied Jilin and Harbin, together with the troops of the Second Far Eastern Front. In cooperation with the airborne troops of the Pacific Fleet, they captured the ports of Uki, Razin, Seizen, and Shenzhen, and then occupied the northern part of Korea, north of the 38th parallel, cutting off Japanese forces from the metropolis. The forces of the Second Far Eastern Front, in conjunction with the Amur military flotilla, crossed the Amur and Ushari rivers, broke through the enemy's long-term defenses in the regions of Heiha and Fusinya, crossed the lesser Shingan mountain range, and together with the troops of the First Far Eastern Front captured Harbin. Georgy Akimovich Shelikov, Chief of Staff of the First Red Army with the rank of Major General, in August 1945 successfully carried out a life-threatening operation to capture Harbin and arrest the command of the 600,000-strong Kwantung Army at the head of an airborne assault. Leading 100 paratroopers in 6 Li-2 planes, General Shelikov captured Harbin Airport, arrested the Chief of Staff of the Kwantung Army, General H. Hata, and presented an ultimatum for the surrender of the Kwantung Army of Japan. This timely airborne operation prevented a biological war that was being prepared in the secret laboratory of Unit 731 in Harbin, where several Japanese planes were loaded with bacteriological bombs with hundreds of kilograms of deadly Black Plague bacteria. Kamikaze pilots were ordered to avenge the nuclear bombing of Hiroshima with bacteriological strikes on major cities in Russia and China, with the inevitable spread of the epidemic around the world. Emperor Hirohito ordered the Kwantung Army to accept the ultimatum and lay down their arms, thus preventing a monstrous crime of biological warfare. 10 Japanese generals were executed by the verdict of the International Military Tribunal in Tokyo. General Hata and another 20 high-ranking officers were sentenced to life imprisonment for crimes against humanity. The airborne operation to capture Harbin and arrest the headquarters of the Kwantung Army of Japan was classified. The ultimatum for the surrender of the Kwantung Army was immediately sent to Tokyo and determined the outcomes of the war. On August 16, 1945, the commander of the Kwantung Army, General Yamada Otozo, ordered his army to surrender after receiving an order from Emperor Hirohito, who announced Japan's capitulation on August 14, 1945. Some Japanese divisions refused to surrender, and fighting continued for several days. Starting from August 19, Japanese troops, who by this time had been informed of the emperor's decree of surrender, began to surrender almost everywhere. By August 19, 41,199 soldiers of the Kwantung Army had surrendered. To expedite this process and to prevent the enemy from relocating or destroying material assets, from August 18 to 27, airborne troops were deployed in Harbin, Fengtian, Xinjiang, Jilin, Ryajin, Dairen, Haizhou, and other cities, and mobile advance units were also used. By August 20, Soviet troops advanced into northeast China from the west by 400 to 800 kilometers, and from the east and north by 200 to 300 kilometers, reaching the Manchurian plain, splitting Japanese forces into a number of isolated groups, and completing their encirclement and capture. A total of between 594,000 and 609,000 Japanese soldiers surrendered to Soviet forces after the fighting ended.